So good to have you join us today on this edition of Business Daily. Coming to you live from Seoul, I'm Jung. Let's get started by taking a look at today's highlights. The latest UN sanctions are expected to cut North Korea's exports in half, casting a dark cloud over its already impoverished economy. We take a look at what countries around the world are doing to decrease their reliance on cash, as well as the pros and cons of the transition to a cashless society. These stories and more coming right up. Korea's Consumer Sentiment Index ended its downward streak this month, coming in at 100, which is up 2 points from February. The Bank of Korea attributes the improved sentiment to the lack of immediate threats out of North Korea and the recent climb in global crude oil prices that in turn helped to stabilize financial markets. A central bank official adds, though, that it's hard to say whether the economy is actually showing signs of improvement. The index had dropped for 3 straight months since December last year. A reading over 100 means optimists outnumber pessimists. Korea will cut discretionary spending by government ministries and agencies by 10% next year. During a cabinet meeting on Tuesday, the government approved a 2017 budget guideline that aims to use the savings on projects that will expand the country's growth and create new jobs. The finance ministry says the cut does not mean that the government is trimming the budget as a whole. Instead, it's restructuring its expenditures to step up efficiency. The government plans to offer incentives to ministries and government organizations that manage to slash their discretionary spending as required. In the past, Pyongyang has been able to find a way around UN sanctions. But now, with the latest round of measures, could the North Korean leadership end up regretting its recent nuclear and missile provocations? Our Kim Mo-kyun has more.
It's widely believed the UN Security Council's most recent round of sanctions on North Korea will deal a severe blow to the country's already weak economy. According to a report released by the Seoul-based Korea International Trade Association on Tuesday, the products covered by the UN resolution account for nearly 45% of North Korea's exports based on 2014 figures. The sanctions includes bans on any type of transactions on natural resources such as iron ore, coal, gold, and titanium, except when related to public welfare. In dollar terms, an inability to export the listed items could cost the regime some $1.5 billion a year. The report says this could eventually see North Korea's export revenues cut in half. By country, North Korea has been exporting a whopping 97% of its items banned by the UN to China, including 100% of its coal and iron ore exports. The overall figure has been on a steady rise in recent years too, indicating Pyongyang's high level of dependence on Beijing. The report says North Korea's revenue stream could be badly affected by the latest sanctions, providing the measures are implemented properly. It says the effectiveness lies squarely with how faithfully China, North Korea's longtime ally and main trading partner, sticks to the resolution. Beijing supported the sanctions at the UN Security Council, but China has been accused in the past of agreeing to sanctions but later loosening up on them. Kim Mo-kyun, Business Daily.
Koreans are flying more thanks to cheaper airline tickets. The Transport Ministry says the number of Korean nationals taking flights around the country or overseas surpassed 8.1 million last month, up more than 15% on year. The ministry attributes the increase to the expansion of domestic flight routes by low-cost carriers, especially to Korea's southern resort island of Jeju. Fuel surcharge exemptions on international flights was another key factor. The extra savings it provided encouraged more Koreans to book flights to Southeast Asia, China, Japan, and the United States. Submarines are a vital part of a country's naval fleet, and Korea has sold its first submarine for export to Indonesia. The first of 3 orders was fulfilled at the southern port of Okpo last week, and our Eunice Kim takes us to the launch ceremony.
This is Korea's first export submarine, a 1,400-ton diesel-electric, and it's the first of 3 the Indonesian Navy ordered from Daewoo Shipbuilding and Marine Engineering in 2011. The contract is worth $1.07 billion, the equivalent of exporting 3,000 medium-sized cars to the Southeast Asian nation. With the launch of the state-of-the-art vessel, Korea joins the likes of the UK, France, Russia, and Germany to become the world's fifth exporter of submarines.
We are extremely proud of becoming the first in Korea to propel the country to the milestone.
Stretching a full 61 meters long with a capacity of 40 crew members, the DSME-209 can travel up to 100,000 nautical miles underwater without interruption, roughly the distance from Busan Port to the port of Los Angeles. In addition to carrying a 533mm torpedo and 8 launcher tubes, the submarine can also deploy sea mines and anti-ship surface missiles.
Without question, having a submarine in our fleet will help boost our naval strength.
Notably, trust between the two countries was built in the years prior to the order through related businesses. And what is Korea's largest defense export deal to date also incorporates a transfer of technology clause, saying the third submarine will be built at the site of Indonesia's state-run shipbuilder, with support from Daewoo. Eunice Kim, Business Daily.
As technologies get smarter, it's also becoming easier for people to pay for things with their credit cards, debit cards, mobile phones, and even virtual currencies. So how will countries run without cash? Let's find out.
More and more people in this fast-moving society are using credit cards, the internet, and mobile phones to pay for things. Cashless payments are overtaking the use of paper money and coins around the world, and Korea has been no exception. With a click or two on their smartphones, people here in Korea can pay for their rent or the meal they just ate at a restaurant. So with the need for cash disappearing, more countries are heading toward becoming cashless societies. In Sweden, cash is set to disappear as only 20% of business purchases in the country are made in cash, representing less than 10% of sales made by retailers. In fact, of the less than 10 million people living in Sweden, nearly half of them already use Swish, a smartphone-based payment service offered by every bank in the country. France, Spain, and Portugal have all put restrictions on using cash, while the Israeli government launched a committee last year to eliminate cash from the domestic economy. Part of the reason for the trend is that a growing number of economies believe using cash fuels the underground economy and allows people to avoid paying taxes. So where does Korea stand when it comes to creating a cashless society?
And to tell us more about this, Professor Jung Suk from the Catholic University of Korea joins us in the studio today. So good to see you, Professor.
Happy to be here.
All right, so with the advancement of fintech, we've been seeing more and more countries use less cash. So what's the global trend like right now when it comes to using cash, and how about Korea?
Okay, well, according to McKinsey, the consultants, the use of paper currency for most advanced countries have been falling. The U.S., for instance, they only use about 29% of their transactions in retail markets are done with cash. Now, some countries do use more cash, countries with less trustworthy financial systems, like, say, Russia, but the trend seems to be that it is falling. For Korea, the McKinsey reports that Korea is on a tipping point. It could go into a cashless society. But they also warn that Korean system is not really ready to go to cashless society.
All right, then in place of cash, people are using credit cards or virtual digital currencies, right? Can you tell us more about these?
Okay, well, credit cards have been around for a long time. Technically, what you do with credit cards when you make a transaction is you're borrowing money from the bank.
Right.
But until the first pay time comes, it's an interest-free loan, and the bank consolidates it and bills you. And then virtual currencies or digital currencies are currencies which only exist in cyberspace, and that's fairly new. All the transactions are done with computers and internet. But I also have to point out that debit cards have become very important. Debit cards, unlike credit cards, they take money directly out of your account as soon as you use it. So it's virtually like cash. And I note that that wouldn't be possible in the old days when we didn't have very fast information technology or record keeping. And then another method which has been around for a very long time, at least in the United States, are just plain old checks.
Oh, yes. All right. Then Sweden, aside from the U.S., Sweden is known as one of the most cash-free societies in the world. Can you tell us more about how it became like that and if there are other countries who are in drive with this?
Well, Denmark and Sweden apparently have government-sponsored cash cards which are very convenient to use. So they're even considering passing laws that says that you can only make transactions with these cards. Apparently, the people there find it very convenient to use, and because it's government-sponsored, it's accepted virtually anywhere.
Then what are some benefits that a country's economy can expect to see once it goes cash-free?
Okay, well, McKinsey report just stated that there would be gains in efficiency because you wouldn't have to print money, and a lot of cash transaction costs would be eliminated. Now, Lawrence Summers, who's a professor at Harvard and who used to be Treasury Secretary and Chief Economist of the World Bank, he advocated getting rid of $100 bills because they're not used very much for everyday transactions, and it helps illegal organizations evade taxes or evade government investigations, like terrorists or tax evaders. So I suspect that the reason that a lot of governments are very interested in going into a cashless society is if you use, say, credit cards or debit cards, all your transactions are recorded. So even in Korea, sometimes the government worries that cash transactions allow people to evade income taxes or value-added sales taxes. So I suspect that that's the real reason why some governments are very interested in going to a cashless society, to make sure that they catch all the transactions so they can get all the taxes.
Well, now let's move on to Japan. I know earlier this month the Japanese government approved a set of bills allowing the virtual currencies like Bitcoin to be used as real money. Now, can you tell us more about that, and also what's Korea's stance when it comes to doing something like this?
Okay, well, Bitcoins seem to be getting more and more popular. And so I think Japan is just allowing for possibility of not only Bitcoins, but other virtual or digital currencies which may rise from the future. The thing about the Korean economy and Korean law system and the Japanese law system is that you have to make explicitly say that those type of currencies will be legal. Now, for Korea, we have not passed such a law, so it's not officially valid. But government and Bank of Korea said that they are interested in this technology. Bank of Korea said that if we go into a cashless society, which may or may not involve digital currency, it will not really affect their monetary policy because our monetary policy is more of an interest rate targeted policy. So we are getting ready for it. We're looking at it, but we haven't gone over the threshold yet.
We're still on a tipping point. But there are also a lot of concerns surrounding security when it comes to using these virtual currencies. So how far has virtual currencies come in terms of use and acceptance, I guess?
Well, Bitcoins have become very popular in the press. But as to actual usage, it seems to be used mostly by tech-savvy people who do a lot of transactions on the internet, or companies which do a lot of transactions on the internet. They're also used by trendsetters and libertarians who believe that government should not have that much control or knowledge about what they transact because Bitcoins are not, transactions are not reported to the government. And they also worry that when central banks control the money supply, it debases the currency, and Bitcoins have a limited supply. So I think that appeals to some people. So that's about where we're at the state of Bitcoins right now.
All right, so we've heard about virtual currencies and Bitcoin, but I heard there's also something called the blockchain. Can you tell us more about what this is and how it works?
Okay, blockchain is a technology which goes behind Bitcoin, and it also hides behind some other digital currencies which are not used very much. But the blockchain technology records all the transactions that particular piece of virtual money goes through. So it's a history of all the hands that touched figuratively,
Right.
this virtual currency.
All right. Then we're living in a world full of new ideas, technologies, and constantly new systems. So I guess in order for us to get ready for a smoother transition into a possible cashless society, what should other countries, including Korea, do?
Okay, well, for Korea in particular, Korea has this nasty habit of trying to make the Korean version of international technology. We've seen this in, say, internet transactions, financial transactions, where Korea forces a certain type of security technology. And while it may work at the beginning, it doesn't seem to work very much as time goes on and things change. Virtual currencies, right now, Bitcoin is popular, but we don't know what type of virtual currencies will be more popular in the future.
Right.
So when we decide on laws, when we decide on procedure, it should be very flexible. It should account for possible changes in technology. And Korea should try to go with the international standards rather than just trying to make a Korean standard on its own.
All right. Thank you so much for your insight today, Professor.
Thank you.
And that wraps it up for today. Thanks for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow at the same time, same place for your Business Daily. Until then, goodbye.